Hi, Dhwani.
Hi Grishma, how are you?
I'm good. Oh, yeah, it's so nice to see all of them. We have 72 people live with us right now. So we have Anjali who says hi. Hi, Mr. Kannan. Thank you for being here today once more. Hi, Abhay. Streya. Hi, Streya. So it's nice to see all of them today. So I would like to start our special episode today on the occasion of Independence Day. A very happy Independence Day to one and all. So yes, we'll just have a short home tour video and we will be back. So we'll just wait for like 2 to 3 minutes for more people to join in. Dhwani, can I have you back?
Hi, Grishma.
Hi, Dhwani. So, a warm good evening to one and all today on this occasion of our 74th Independence Day. So, today, as usual, something different I would like to speak about. I would like to start by a quote where we say, get the freedom to live your dream, live life in your dream home with Bonito. So, just beginning with this, I would say a very, very happy Independence Day to one and all to us. So, just to begin with, I would like to talk about Bonito Discover as a platform. What is it? So, it is a knowledge gaining platform for people like you and me, brought to you by Bonito Designs, with its headquarters based at Bangalore in HSR, which is an interior design firm. So, just to go ahead, I would like to introduce my speaker for the day, as you know, Dhwani. So, I would like to just read about her bio. So, Dhwani Singh is an architect who majored in interior design from the Northumbria University, Newcastle, United Kingdom. Over the years, she drew her inspiration from veteran architects like Zaha Hadidi and Frank Gray. To be bold is crazy, but necessary, she says. Dhwani has 8 years of experience in the industry, where she has spent most of her time designing luxury interior design. So, here, let's join in Dhwani as she dives into the shimmering world of home lighting solutions to help you achieve the designer look. So, I'd like Dhwani to kindly take forward the presentation.
Thank you, Grishma, for that lovely introduction. Hello, all. Happy Day to you. And well, thank you for coming over to join this interesting session of lighting and how we do it in style in your houses. So, what is lighting and what do we know about it? How do we do it? Today, we will be talking about the importance of light. How do we get it right through forms and layers? And what are the different types of lighting that we can use in different spaces in our house? And again, how do we use lighting as design concept in itself? So I'll be showing you a couple of pictures in the next slides, and I would want to know how do you feel about it when you see each one of these pictures? What do you feel about when you see this picture? How do you feel about what are your thoughts about it? Anyone? Yes, Shreya is saying ray hope. Murali is saying fresh lighting. Kanan is saying refreshing. Himanshi said natural lighting. Absolutely. A good day to be outdoors is saying sawan. Yes, exactly. So this lighting, this picture gives you a sense of a happy feeling, a feeling that you would want to step out, go out, have a good time together, either by yourself or with your friends and relatives, and just have like a nice relaxing time. I'll be moving on to the next slide, and I would want to know how do you feel about for that one? How do you feel about the picture that is on the right? Cold. Vivek says cold. Aman says cool. Aditya says it's gloomy. That's right. Tapsi says it's cozy. Interesting. Yes. So Tapsi says it's cozy. Radhika is saying it's a cozy weather. However, Aditya is saying gloomy. Ragulo is saying lifeless. Wow. So this picture of a cold weather is creating so many sense of feelings that for some it is a nice cozy feeling. For some it is a very cold and a gloomy feeling. I'll be moving on to the next slide, and please tell me how do you feel about that too. Now, how do you feel about rains and this sort of setup for your rains? I love rainy weather, and it stimulates a lot of feelings when I am sitting under the rain. Like I would want to enjoy reading a book or have a cup of coffee. How do we feel about this picture? Sujata is saying romantic. Kanan is saying missing a cup of tea. Tripti is saying cozy. Pooja is saying memorable. Yes, exactly. So, this is how we feel when we are around this sort of setting. Can we say that this is a sort of light setting? Or can we say it when we see the next picture? How do we feel now? Both the pictures are of rainy season, but one is with such a nice light, and the other appears to be a very little, a tad bit dull. Do we feel the same for the picture on the right? Ragula is saying dirty. Can feel like take time to take a walk, and Venkateshwaran feels like it's gloomy. Yes. Wow, Pooja Sharma would want to go out for a walk. Parag says, "Feel like dancing in the rain." Exactly. I feel the same way when it comes to raining. I feel like that I'm a peacock and I would want to go out and just dance in the rain. It's the perfect weather for me personally. But yes, come to talk about lighting. The one on the left is a bright and nice with a warm and cozy feeling where you would want to sit privately by the window, enjoy the rain, have a proper lighting for your reading, or maybe just glaring out of the window with your cup of coffee. However, on the picture on the right is where you might not want to step out because the light is too dull and it is just bringing down your energy. So, this responsiveness to your light is called circadian rhythm, which is responsible for deciding the mood of the hour for your day. Now, how does this circadian rhythm works? It is basically broadly also responsible for your biological clock, like how we have a sleeping pattern. Like we sleep in the morning, we sleep at night when the light is dark, and we wake up and do all our activity during the daytime. Similarly, circadian rhythm works like that. So when we get up in the morning between 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. is where we would want to get up, have a nice cup of coffee, have an hour of relaxed, peaceful time, maybe plan our agenda for the day, for the work. What do we have to do? How do we go about it? And then maybe start a work around 8:30 or 9. Between 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. is where we reach office, we have our agenda meetings with our team, we talk about what we have done, what we have to do, how do we go about it, how the day looks like in our office, and we sort of plan our day and work around it. Like our alertness is coming there. Like we call it with a cup of coffee, but sometimes probably it is because of the light. And between 12 to 2 p.m. is where we feel the most productive, is where we are, our alertness is full, is where we would want to achieve the whole of the work, or at least 60 or 70% of the work to be done, be it your house chores, be it your office work, be it your any sort of plan work that you have planned for the day. But after from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. is where the alertness levels start to drop. We call it, we feel lethargic because we have had a super biryani, or we have had good food, or because during the course of the day we had some calls that is putting us off and everything. But actually between 3 to 5 is where we notice our alertness that starts dropping. This is because of the light during the daytime. How you can see the different colors of lights that are there in this picture that you can see between a different temperature of the light is how we feel, and mostly the light is responsible for our mood and our alertness and our activeness throughout the day. Do you feel, is it about right if I say that our body or human mind works like a plant also, that we respond to the plants, to the lights like plants? It's an interesting thought, right? How do you feel about it? So lighting. Why lighting is important? How important it is? How do we go about it? Now we all know, we all love today in this lockdown period where we are all working from home, we would want a proper lighting setting over around our desk space or around our workspace. How many of us are actually has a study table or a work desk around a window, next to the window or next to your door, where there is lots of natural light falling there? Have you noticed that? Can anyone just notice that now and tell me that if their work desk is around natural lighting setting? Yes, Vinod says yes. He has his work desk around his natural light setting. Radhika is also saying yes. Savan is also saying yes. Yes, so we do have our work desk around the natural lighting. It is because we feel alert, like I said, around this natural lighting. And natural lighting is very important. And in interior designing, we imitate this natural lighting through the set of artificial, through the set of light fixtures that we call as artificial light. Now, it is very important to get this set of artificial light right so that we have a perfect setting in our houses for any kind of work or mood that we would want to have around a place. Now, how do we go about it? How do we get those right? What are the types of lighting that should be put in our house and in each and every corner of a space that gets it right? So there are three types of lighting categorized broadly as ambient lighting, task lighting, and accent lighting. Now, what are these lighting? What is ambient lighting? Now, ambient lighting is basically your general lighting which provides the uniform glare around your house. It is, if you notice it, it is the source of the main light that you see, or white light, how we see it right now in most of our houses, is the source of ambient light. Ambient light is typically the ceiling lights, which gives you a uniform glare all over your house, minus the other fixtures that you might have in your houses. Ambient light imitates the natural light in your house. What are the fixtures type that we use in ambient light? For ambient lighting, we use ceiling lights. As I said, it can be different type of ceiling lights. The wall lights like a tube light, track lights, chandelier, and floor lamp. Now, what is the next set of type of lighting? The next type of lighting is task lighting. What do we know about task lighting? I'm sure this is a very common term that we are using right now, and I'm sure most of the people would understand what is a task lighting. Can I have a response here? Kavya is saying yes, she has moved her study table around the natural light and it feels great. Yes, Kavya, I agree to it. Okay, so going about task lighting. The task lighting is basically a set of lighting that is put around, which is basically for you to focus over your work area. It is a brighter glare than your ambient lighting and it focus on a smaller space. So this type of task lighting is basically how we enhancing our space, making a workspace brighter to do the work efficiently. Typically, these type of task lighting are used for your work desk, for your reading area, and for your cooking. These task lighting is basically where you perform your task efficiently with a proper set of lighting. Yes, Aisha said for reading and other tasks. Correct. Samprita, you're also right, carrying out a particular task. Now, what are the fixtures type that we are using for these task lighting? These are your desk lamp, your table lamp, your swing arm lamps, under counter lights in the cabinet, pendant lamp, directed track or recess light, and vanity lights. We see how we have our vanity lights over the in the washroom. Those are your task light. Wow, Arjun, I would love to know how it feels like around your workstation with the floor to ceiling light. Moving on to the accent light. What is the accent light and why do we need it? Accent light is basically a light source which is used to enhance the features of your room. How do we know about it? How do we feel in this picture? What are we seeing in this picture? What are the sources? What are the elements that we can see is getting highlighted? Does our eye go towards the chair that is in front of the book cabinet, or does our eye go directly towards the book cabinet? How do we feel about both the pictures? What do you see in these pictures? So accent lighting is basically the light source that is used to enhance the features of your house. It adds a visual interest in your place, in your room. Yes, Samprita is saying cabinet in the first. Exactly. Is because this accent lighting is used to accentuate your feature of the room, and it brings your eye attention directly to those interests. So that's how we use accent lighting, where we would want to bring our attention directly as soon as we enter the space is where we use these accent lighting. These accent lightings are achieved through the spotlights, track lights, cove light, wall scones, picture lights, slimline bar cabinet, and wall washers. What are the layers of lighting? How do we go about it? Why do we need layers of lighting? What is layers of lighting? So layers of lighting is basically putting these three lights together that we just learned about is ambient, task, and accent lighting, and put together in one room and bring in the wow element in your room, in your space by putting these set of lightings together. Now, how do you feel about this picture? What do you see in this picture? What all areas can you see? What are elements can you see? How do we feel about these pictures? So, for example, like my eye directly goes first to the chandelier and then to the bookcase. Do we see that, or can someone can is someone else is observing something here? Right. So first layer is the ambient lighting. We should always get the ambient lighting first. Right, Aisha. You can see the windows first because it is again the source of ambient lighting. Rohan is also saying the same thing. Yes, the ambient lighting, it is very important to get your lighting about right in the room. You have to understand how the natural light is working around the space. And then we work around these light sources that we need to imitate this natural light during the day, from day to the night time. So as you can see in this picture, the area a slimline bar, recessed lights, then there is a chandelier and then your daylight. These are your source of ambient light, which provides a uniform glare in this space and works around, imitates the natural light towards the later in the day. The second layer in these pictures are your side table by the sofa, your task underlining a task like underlining your kitchen cabinet, which drops directly over the counter space, and you can do your cutting and chopping efficiently. Then there is a chandelier over the dining area, which is throwing light directly over the dining space. These are your task lighting. So did you just notice how the first set of lights and how the second set of lights are put together, and it is just working together for this space? Coming on to the next layer. The third layer is the accent light. Now, I'm sure you must have noticed this cove light around the false ceiling. You must have not noticed in the previous slide, but you can notice it now. These are the accent light, which enhances this. How this false ceiling, imagine this false ceiling without this warm white light around it, and it would not look like this. It would not enhance the whole feature of it. Now, I also see that there is a cove lighting around the dining area where the false ceiling is in round shape. And imagine you would not be able to see the shape of the false ceiling without the cove light. These are the accent lights that we are using to enhance the design and the features that we would want to highlight and bring our eyes directly for the attention. Now, I'll be showing you this picture, and I would want to know if anyone can tell me how they can identify the layers of this light. What are the layers that we have used here in this room to have like a perfect setting here? Yes, Deepa is saying window as ambient light. Wow, Aditya is saying accent spot and cove light. Very well done. Vinod is also saying cove lighting. Absolutely. So did you see this ambient lighting, this cove lighting around the false ceiling is working very well and enhancing the whole space of your living room? While we have simpler lights around everywhere, there is no element of drama with a huge chandelier or a nice fancy piece of table lamp, but we still can see this whole visual interest of this space with the cove lighting. And spotlights are, of course, there for the false ceiling to imitate the natural light. And then there is this accent light around the niche that we see where there is a fall on each side of the cabinet, on each side of in the cabinet around the TV. Pooja Sharma is saying light looks good. I will be telling you how to go about it and how to get it right in the next coming slides. Now this is a perfect setting for the dining. Do we feel this? Does it look like a perfect setting for the dining area? Aisha is saying it looks dull. Aisha, it looks dull, or shall I say, does it look warm and cozy? Like a sort of mood lighting that we would want to have over dinner? Right. So in this lighting, in this setup, there are these lights that are put together. A chandelier is put together over a dining table. Again, to have like a proper lighting over your dining area. And these accent lights are put around the cabinet shelves to highlight your decor pieces together. And then there is an interaction of daylight coming straight to your dining area, which sort of sets a perfect setup for your dinner and have that very warm and cozy dinner with your friends and your family. So these are the layers of lighting that we are using. There is an ambient lighting, there is a accent lighting, and then there is a task lighting. Similarly, here in the kitchen, we can see that there are these lights under the cabinet, which is falling just over the countertop and is working well where we would want to probably accentuate our decor pieces, how we can see in this image, or do our cutting and chopping. And then we have these pendant lamps just over our island where we would want to sit, have a breakfast, have a casual conversation while the person is cooking, and the ambient lighting is done through the recessed lighting. Moving on to your bedroom. How do we feel about it? So, in this bedroom lighting, it is very important to have like a nice, warm, and cozy setup because bedroom is a place where you would want to come back and relax. It is very important to have some sort of task light by your bedside. For example, in both of these images that you can see, that there is wall lights on each side of the bed, then there is a hanging lamp on each side of the bed. These are your task light, which is basically are trying to help you when just before going to bed is where you would want to have like a peaceful conversation or like a reading time or maybe just working out for the plan ahead for the next day that you would want to work is where this is the space where you would want to relax and unwind your stress for the day. So it is very important. Must do is to always have task lighting around your bed, both the sides of the bed. Then there is an ambient lighting. Ambient lighting is obviously required. Now, in this, on the picture on the right, if you can see that there is a cove light behind the headboard, and it is accentuating the whole element of it. How on the image on the left we have wallpaper, and there is no accent lighting there. However, on the right we just have a normal headboard going at its regular height, and then there is a normal paintwork with an artwork, but then there are paneling, these small paneling throwing the light around the wall, and it is working well like an accent. So these are the ways that we can do use lightings in a very economical manner and have these sort of accents in our houses. Now, how do we achieve these layers of light? What are the forms of lighting? What do we know about it? So there are four types of lighting that we'll be talking about. These are the ceiling lights, wall lights, floor lights, and table lights. Ceiling lights. What are ceiling lights? So ceiling lights, we know, a lot of people know about the pendant lamp and the chandeliers. We have seen it all through the time. We know it. Some people, some call pendant lamp as hanging lamp. Some call it as ceiling lamp. And the chandeliers, we all know. Chandeliers, what are those? Those are the centerpieces that we have in most of our living spaces here. Then the third type of light is the track lights. Now in this image, as you can see, that there are a set of 5 lights is placed at an alternative fashion, where a set of 2 lights are falling on the wall, while the other 3 lights are away from the wall, which is basically throwing some lights on your furniture around it. So these sort of track lights are very nice. We use it for the artwork display. We use it as a source of ambient lighting in our houses. We also use it for the accent. Like this, there are wattage and all. If we use it small, we can use it for the accent. Track lights can be fixed on the ceiling, on the true ceiling. We don't need a false ceiling for this. We just need a wiring, and it can be placed together like how you see in this setup with the wires and the track. There is a track, there will be track lights. You can decide the color, temperature, and the warmth of it, and then you can have like a perfect setting for your ambient lighting or for your accent lighting. The surface mounted light. These surface mounted lights, similarly to your track lights, can be fixed directly on your ceiling. And then there are 2 shapes that you can see. One is the bigger shape, which has like a whole depth of 6 inches. You fix it, and it gives you a very nice industrial sort of feeling about it, like how we see in a lot of restaurants these days. And the next is the slim panel light, which is again directly over the true ceiling. You don't need a false ceiling to have that perfect sort of warmth in your house that we are looking nowadays. With these surface mounted lights, you can easily have that sort of setup. Now coming on to the recessed light. Recessed light is a typical source of your ambient lighting. We imitate the natural light through this. There are different sizes and different wattage of it. How do we use it? These are typically fixed in the false ceiling. In the false ceiling, once the false ceiling is done, we make a cutout as per the size and the design of the recessed light, and then we fix it. So recessed light is basically used for your false ceiling, while all other lights that you can see, the chandeliers, the track light, surface mounted light, and pendant lamp, can be used directly on your ceiling, provided there is a wiring. Moving on to the wall lights. The wall lights, like I said, are the swing arm lamps are the typical task light, which is put against the bed, so that you can use it and adjust it however you would want to do it. Do you want the fall directly coming over your bedside when you're not reading, or do you want the fall coming over your book when you're reading on the bed? So these are used for as swing arm light, which is typically fixed on the wall. The wall scones. Wall scones are basically your wall lights, which are a bit too aesthetically pleasing, and they're put on the walls either to define the whole space, how we go about it. That wall lights has 2 types of fall. In this picture, as you can see, it's falling upwards and downwards. Then we have a downward fall, and we also have an upward fall. So again, we pick the correct sort of wall lights, wall scones, deciding which side we would want to enhance and how do we use about it. What is the interaction that we want through that light in our space. Then there is a wall washer lights. The wall washer is your typically lights that has a fall upwards and downwards. It is fixed on the wall, basically maybe to highlight the texture of your wall. If there is a texture paint, if there is a brickwork, if there is a concrete fashion of paint that is happening, any sort of brick cladding, we put wall washer lights to enhance these textures. Then there is a picture light. I'm sure a lot of us now know what is a picture light and how does it work. It has a drop downwards and it enhances the picture placed right under it. The third type is the floor light. Floor light, we all know, floor lamp is the floor lamp. We place it in such a coordination that we highlight probably our corner. I'm sure a lot of people who have their floor lamp in their houses can now notice that there is a floor lamp placed in their house in a corner, which sort of again highlights and add light in that corner so that it is not hidden with your ambient lighting and with your other lightings, but it is well lit up. The corner is your space, is your home where you would want to sit and have a nice time. Floor uplighters are the lighters that are fixed typically on the floor. These are recessed and we use it to again for the accent, like you can see in this picture that there is a texture getting highlighted in a very dramatic manner. It adds a visual interest. This is a foyer space that we can see of a foyer wall of a space, and it adds like a whole length and a visual interest without much of a concern here. There is no busyness of any other thing but just simple set of lights and the wall texture. Vinod is asking, kindly mention the difference between recessed light and the spotlight. Right. Thank you for your question. Recessed light are the typical source of ambient light, like how I said, that they are fixed on the ceiling, on the false ceiling. We need a false ceiling because they have a very slim line and the lighting and the bulbs are exposed. So when we are putting this together in the false ceiling, there is a cutout, and that's how we recess it. We flush it with the false ceiling. That is your recessed light. Now, recessed light is your source of ambient light. However, spotlight can be recessed or ceiling mounted, surface mounted, as we have seen it. The wattage of the spotlight versus recessed light is different. Recessed light is your source of ambient light. It will be brighter. It has a bigger wattage. The spotlight is basically your accent light that you use it in your cabinets to accentuate your decor pieces, probably your crockery cabinet, probably your bookshelf or your artwork. So these are so spotlight works as an accent light which falls downwards and has a warmth in it and has a lower wattage with respect to your recessed light. Pooja Sharma is saying floor uprights used for garden also. Yes, Pooja, it is definitely used in garden also. We do it around the passage, like there is a brickwork, the pathway around it. We can do that. We also do it in the garage space, like in a villa where there is a car parking here, and we would want to highlight the passage. Any space where we would want to highlight the whole pathway or the passage area to have that visual interest, we use floor uprights. Shashi is asking, will floor uplighters look good in case of a small foyer area which is in square shape? Shashi, that's a very good question. I would rather, as a designer, as a personal choice, I would not suggest apply floor uplighters in a small foyer area because we are adding a lot of elements. We'll have to see what sort of space it is. Now, in this image, as you can see, the foyer is very wide. So these lightings are not taking enough space between of a circulation space. So we'll have to be careful about that also. So unless we have like a long passage, decent enough to have this sort of provision, is where I would not suggest to have these sort of floor uplights in your small foyer area. Moving on to the next slide. The next type of table lights are your table lights. These table lights are typically your table lamp and your desk lamp. Now, I'm sure a lot of people do not understand the basic difference between a desk lamp and a table lamp. The desk lamp has a fall upwards usually. However, the desk lamp has a fall downward. Desk lamp typically works over your workstation table or your desk table. It has a brighter wattage and it focuses on your work area, is how we would want a typical task light to work around it. Now, as you can see in this visual, that both the desk lamp has a downward fall, focusing on your work area only. It could be your stitching, it could be a painting, it could be cooking, it could be any sort of task that we are performing here. However, with the table lights in the other two visuals that you can see, that they are very aesthetically pleasing, they have a very nice design, and that they are working well with the whole sort of setup. You would want to use it for your reading, but not for the working, where there is a lot of lighting is required. There is a whole proper setting is required. So this is a basic difference between your table lamp and your desk lamp. Moving on to the mood lighting. Now, mood lighting is very important. How do we get it? And what is mood lighting? Mood lighting is where you highlight and create an atmosphere. You put together these three set of light that we have just learned, the task lighting, the ambient lighting, and the accent lighting, put together in a very warm sense, and that's how we get as mood lighting. This is a trending topic these days, and everyone would want to know, how do we achieve these mood lighting? So, coming on to a question here, how do we feel about these two images? These are two images of restaurant. Now, first, how do we go about it? Where would you want to go to get your work done when you're like stressed out? The work, you cannot focus at your work or maybe at your place, and you would want to go out and probably have a cup of coffee, have a peaceful time. And which place would you want to go to have like a nice, relaxing dinner or lunch with a group of friends or just with your loved ones? Manjusuni, the question is, what kind of lights can we use without a false ceiling but aesthetically pleasing? You can use surface mounted light, how I have shown you in previously. Surface mounted light does not require false ceiling. Kautami is saying first one. Aisha is saying second one with natural light. Thank you, Grishma, for a question. Track lights can be used in industrial style. What is the difference between wall scones and wall washer? Right. So difference between wall scones and wall washer is wall scones. You can basically broadly call it as a wall light, which has three types of fall. It is either upward, it is either downward, or it is both ways. It gives like a normal fall of light which works around it. Now, wall washers are basically your small lights which has a fall both ways. It sort of creates a sharp V, like a sharp fall both ways, and it works like an accent. It has a very dramatic fall that to enhance the texture or to enhance the whole design where this wall washers are placed at. While the wall scones or wall lamps has a very smooth or a soft fall going upwards, downwards, or both ways. Yes, Pooja Sharma is saying second space, lunch with friends. I'm sure. Now, this exactly is what I'm trying to understand here. While the second picture on the right is where you would want to go for a lunch, probably have a cup of coffee by yourself, get your work done, because the light settings are such. On the left, this sort of light setting is basically a very inviting, where you would want to sit and relax, you unwind your day with your loved ones or just close member and have a nice dinner. So this sort of lighting, as you can see, is called mood lighting. There is a mood lighting setting done in the left picture, while there is a nice sort of ambient lighting and interaction of day lighting happening on the right during the daytime for you to have a nice conversation there. Now, moving now, how do we go about it? How do we go? What are the mood lighting that we are talking about? So this mood lighting or the lightings are broadly categorized into three bits. They are called warm white, neutral white, and cool white. I'm sure a lot of people must have noticed on their whenever they're buying these lights that there is a color temperature mentioned here. These are the color temperatures. We call it as warm white, neutral white, and cold white, where they're identified by different set of kelvins which emits the light. Now these lights, how they are create the ambience is how we are understanding. While warm white is used for cozy, calm, and inviting ambience, neutral white is bright and vibrant, and cool white is very crisp and invigorating. That is typically, if I have to say, is your tube light source of light. Tube light is your cool white. Now, when the for the neutral white, we use it in the basement, garages, work environment. You see it in your office, you see it at your work, you see where there is a proper lighting is required. While the cool white is required in your display areas where you'd want to have a nice display, in your garages where there is a heavy work going on, like a lot of like heavy duty work is happening, is where you use your cool white. Do not uh, 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 miss the task lighting in for neutral and cool white are different. For neutral white, we are using in a smaller space where there is a regular sort of work is happening in your office, at your home. While cool white is used in a where there is a heavy duty, like an industry sort of fashion, is the space that we are talking about your cool whiting. Then there is warm white. Warm white we are usually most of us understand as the source of strip light, the cove light that we do in the false ceiling or that we do under the cabinet. But then the warm white is also achieved through nice set of fixtures, and we can have this cozy and calm, inviting environment for our places. Raja is asking which color would you suggest for offices? Raja, we would suggest a neutral white for your offices because it imitates the natural day lighting and it is not too sharp. We put a lot of time in our offices. We have a very heavy and stressful work scenario nowadays. So neutral white is the perfect sort of setting, which is not putting enough strain on your eyes or which is not just giving that sort of tension to you, and it is just creating a perfect sort of balance, imitating the natural white light. Please, this is a key word: imitate the natural white light. And cool white does not imitate the natural white light. Kavya is asking what's the alternative to a tube light. Kavya, if you do not want a tube light, you can have surface mounted light when if you don't have a false ceiling. If you want a false ceiling, you can also have recessed light. Now, tube light, like I said, is cool white. Nowadays, we designers also do not suggest cool white because the whole ambience that it creates is very sharp. We don't want that. We want a nice warm setting minus the warm white light, but like enough for the efficient working that is happening in a space. So you can use surface mounted light with neutral white light temperature. Vinod is asking what is the type of lighting do we use for the riser of a staircase? So these are called wall surface lighted, like how we have floor up lighters which are fixed on the wall. Likewise, there are these side lighters that we fix around the staircase, around of the ceiling of the skirting, and then the whole light fall around it. It is again recessed. So before finalizing it, we have to have the cutting around it so that it is flushed again with your skirting. Remember, do not have like a fixture jutting out of your skirting of your staircase, because then you will be hitting yourself, the toes will be hitting on the light a lot. So always have, whenever we having these up lighters or side lighters, it always needs to be flushed by the surface. It has to be in one level and cannot jut out. Now, how do we feel about this light? So with this image, I'm sure you guys can now relate what I was talking about it. This is an image of a living room. Then there is a cool white setting, and then there is a warm white setting. There are two starking difference, and you can see the transition between from the daylight to the evening time, how we go about it. Like on the right, it is so warm and cozy. You would want to have like a nice peaceful time, have a couple of friends and have a good time here. However, on the left, the setup is such that you would want to sit along the daylight and along the temperature that is there, and that you might want to get your work done there. This is the color temperature difference that you can see in the same setup of your living area. While on the extreme right, there is a book cabinet in daylight. On the extreme left, there is a similar same book cabinet in the warm white. And then there is the center space of the fireplace in the center. And it is just highlighting again what sort of light we are looking at. So, I think Kavya, for your question, the bright white, the neutral daylight, neutral white is what we are talking about, is the best substitute for your tube light. As you can see, it is giving you perfect lighting. It will give you a perfect interaction with your daylight and have a nice setup. While the warm white is, again, we can use it for the accent. We can have like small side tables or table lamp or floor lamps. We can have or the cove light, where we would want to add the drama of warmth, element of warmth in a space. Now, in this setup of dining, how do we go about it? As for me, as a personal choice, the setting on the right is my favorite space. I would want to sit here, have my friends over, have a lovely, nice dinner here. However, the cool white on the left is giving me stress. It's adding me, but I don't would not want to come here often and have my dinner, because dinner is a very lunch and dinner is a place where you would want to sit for probably 30 minutes, have a break, have a peaceful time with yourself, and maybe think about it, what you have done throughout the day, how do you go about it, and how do you feel throughout the day. It is again setting the whole mood. While on the left, it is adding a little stress, it is giving me some sort of anxiety. The right, on the picture on the right, is giving me like a warmth, cozy, relaxed feeling, and I would want to sit here, probably do my some sort of tad bit of work here. Strip light is the most economical way and an interesting manner to use this sort of mood lighting. Now, mood lighting is, remember, it is only a setup that we want to have like a warmth and cozy ambience. It does not work very well for your task running. But this sort of setup, when you see this picture, you're like, oh my God, like this is so relaxing. I would want to have this sort of setup at my place. So placing LED strip light that we see, we use it typically for the cove light. If we place it very interestingly under the furniture pieces or some places, it will create the perfect mood. How we see in the kitchen area, there is a strip light underneath your shelf. The fall is highlighting the texture of your wall. It is falling over the counter. You maybe use it for some sort of small working around. Again, the strip lighting is at your island counter, your breakfast counter. This is again defining your breakfast counter, and it is not merging between your dining area, your island breakfast counter, and your kitchen space. It is sort of defining the whole space, creating that warmth, that mood setup that we are looking at, and it is working well with the whole setup that we would want at some point of time towards the end of the day. Likewise, the hanging lamps over the dining table are again in warm white. It is giving you enough light to get your work done, but it is doing the perfect setting to have that private dinner one with your favorite one. Likewise, in the false ceiling in the behind the living area, you can see that there is a curtain pelmet, and then the cove light is put together around the area, and the fall is coming in such a manner that without having a false ceiling in or any sort of lighting in over the living area, there is a fall coming, and it is again defining the whole length and adding that element of warmth and mood in your space. For your bedroom, Now, if I have to define you, how do we go about it? The difference between the soft white and the daylight, or warm white or a neutral white, how we call it, is how we use it. The picture on your right is your kitchen picture, where it is absolutely important to have a neutral white light. This sort of light we would not suggest to have it in your bedroom. Like I said, it is a place where you would want to sit and relax, have a good time, get up in the morning, and do your work and go with your daily routine. Soft white light or warm white is the perfect setting for your bedroom. For your daylight white or neutral white light that we are calling it, you have to have use it in your kitchen where you use it, or for your office where you have to get a lot of work done throughout the day. Now, uh, again, layering of lights is very important. Like I said, in this picture, on both the pictures that you see, that there are layers of light. Though there is a neutral white that we have used it as source of ambient light, imitating the natural light. Then there is a chandelier just over your dining space, which is giving working as a task light, and the accent light is adding is through the strip light, through your under the kitchen cabinets. It is defining the whole space with these three layers of different color temperature. Also, it creates the perfect setting for your space. Likewise, in your bedroom, the whole bed panel is getting highlighted. There is a huge chandelier, and then there are your task light as table lamps. The layering of light is very important. You can either have, it is always suggested to use couple of different temperatures, color temperatures, which is neutral white and warm white. Put it together in these different layers of lighting and have the perfect setting for your space. Vinod is asking, what kind of lights do you suggest for the under cabinet lights for the kitchen? So Vinod, as you can see, we can either have these sort of strip light, warm white. If we have this sort of full length of the cabinet running across a wall to wall, end to end, we can use this accent light and maybe use it for the under cabinet lights in the kitchen. Or if there is a break, or there is a small width between your cabinets from end to end, it is always suggested to use those under cabinet light that we fix under the cabinet, have a very nice fall around it. But again, the wattage and everything needs to be taken care of. The color can be a warm white, but the wattage needs to be taken care of because it should not be very sharp. Again, the wattage is decided by the space, the whole area, or how we go about it. So make sure that there is a decent size of light which is giving you the perfect setting for your under cabinet light. Lighting for different spaces in the house. How do we go about it? What are the different spaces that we are looking at? How do we determine it? We determine it through the, how do we, by the identifying the purpose, the activity that we are doing, its interaction with the daylight, what sort of focus features we would want to focus, and what sort of mood we are creating. These are the basic understanding that we have to understand for each room and go about it. For example, foyers and entryways. Now, foyers and entryways is always interesting. It is the first space that a guest is entering to your space and looking at it. So it has to be very warm, welcoming, and inviting. So it is always best to use hanging lamps and wall lights to define the whole thing. Also, it is suggested to have some mirrors in your entry foyer, because entry foyer is a slim space where there is not enough source of light that we can achieve on, or maybe enough source of enough elements that we add. With the mirror, if we add it as an element, it works as an aesthetic. It also works in enhancing the light. Mirror reflects the light, and it works very well in a small space, gives you a perception of a bigger space, and works very interestingly. Like you can see on the left image, there are the reflection of light that is there, and it is working very well. On the right is your foyer passage, and the false ceiling is acting around right. Is false ceiling is around the stretch of your length of the passage, and the cove light is running around it. This cove lighting is again defining the whole space through your foyer space, and as you can see, there is an element of visual interest that is added through this very aesthetical chandeliers and the wall sconces around it. In the living room, like you see now, these are called your wall scones around the picture frame that is set. These are your wall sconces. It may have it in this one has a downlighter and a fall, upward fall and a downward fall. You see the interaction of the daylight. You would want to have like a decent setup during the day for you to carry on your work. Over the night time, these wall lights will add a visual interest. The table lamp or the floor lamp on the corner is again to enhance the corner that is not hidden behind the light. On the right is again how we are seeing the interaction of the daylight. We would want to sit here, have those hanging lamps as an element of aesthetics to make sure that there is some workaround to this task light, and then there is a visual interest through your chandelier. Now on your left is the space is where I feel very connected. I would want to have this sort of setup, like a warm space. The whole warm lights around behind the sofa is adding up to the mood. The whole terracotta brickwork is getting highlighted, and the whole space is getting defined beautifully with a very warm and cozy, interesting space. Now, this again is very responsiveness for preference as per individual. For some, this sort of lighting does not work well. For some, it's really not appropriate for them to have this sort of setup, which is absolutely okay. It is up to each individual preferences how we want it, how we want the sort of setup. For some, it can be the one that we have seen in the previous slide, or for some like me, this would be the perfect setting for me at the night time for friends having over. In the dining room, it is always suggested to have a dramatic hanging lamp or a chandelier placed just above your dining table. This sort of works well with the whole setup falling over your dining table, gives you the perfect setting for the task lighting, adds the visual interest to your dining space, and works really well for your in the dining. Now, as you can see in the picture on the right, there is an interaction of daylight. However, if there is no such lights, how you can see in the picture on the left, you can always add interesting elements such as false ceiling, have a cove lighting, have your ambient lighting around it, and it works well in your dining area. The kitchen is the most important. Like I said, it is the space where you would want to have like a proper setting of the work done. This is the space. Again, you see the layers of lighting through the accent lighting, the third layer. The second layer is a task lighting, which is coming through your pendant lamps. And the first layer of lighting is coming through your ambient lighting. It is the most important space. You should have a neutral white light. Add that element of warmth through these accent lighting, and it works well. You have to ensure that the kitchen is the most important space where you have to get a lot of work done. Like how you see on the picture on the left is has added a visual interest, but there is the source of task lighting or ambient lighting that is there enough, and it is not making your kitchen a bit too dark. While on the right, again, you see there is a strategically placed pendant lamp just over the dining area in the small setup, but it works well. The bedroom. The bedroom, like I said, it is very important to have either bedside lamps or hanging lamps or some source of task light by each side. It is very important. You will never go wrong if you get this basic thing right in your bedroom. Like there is obviously a source of ambient light. You are using some sort of surface mounted light or recessed light, but you should have a bedside some sort of setup around your bedside. It can be hanging, it can be table lamp, it can be small mood lamps also, but it is very important to have these sort of setup around your bed, which works well. Like you see in this image, there are hanging lamps working well. The accent light is again defining the true cove. Then there is a mirror around behind the sofa, as you can see, which is placed in such an interesting manner with the strip light behind it that it looks like an element of light. It looks like a source of light actually. On your left is the picture of the vanity. Now, vanity is again vanity. We call it a dressing place. Now, this is very important. Although we are talking about having the perfect setting of warmth and coziness in your bedroom, please do not get confused when you're doing the same for your dresser. The dresser area is a very critical area where you're performing a task. Putting a makeup or doing the grooming is very important, and you need proper lighting to see the details that you're looking at. So do not add a warm light as the source of main light. Always add neutral white as the source of main light. Also, there is another trick to it. Use your wall mounted light, not your ceiling lamps. The ceiling lamp has a downward fall. So if it is placed in such a manner that there is a shadow coming over, you won't be able to see it. So a wall light in neutral white is the perfect setting for your vanity dresser area to get it done right. Now we are showing up how we use these lightings in a very interesting manner and work around these without having like a wallpaper or the texture paint that we have been seeing through all this time, and how we use it as a design concept through these lights. Now in these visuals that you can see, there is a depth of the panels that is highlighted by these lights, and it creates an element of wow in your space. The one on the left is the bedroom space. The one on the right is the living space. So it is not necessary that we have to have these sort of setup in your probably living room or in your bedroom. You can get it right in either way. Just use it smartly with these sort of elements. Basic light fall that is happening, a minimal sort of light fall is happening in the bedroom, which creates a perfect drama there, and a very decent sort of strategically placed, these lights are placed in the wooden panels between the lights, and is giving you a perfect setting as a wall panel. For your light highlighting textures. Now, how do we go about it? In this, it is very important when we are planning to highlight these textures are rough and they absorb a lot of light. So we have to ensure that when we are putting these, trying to highlight these sort of textures, how do we go about it? What source of light can we do it, and we use it to work it well. Now on your right, as you can see, there is a false lighting, there is a cove lighting falling over, but the colors are just merging around it because the cove light has enough wattage or the enough warmth that does not highlight the texture. As you can see this in the same image, the daylight is highlighting the texture. Now the daylight is, again, like I said, natural light imitating the light through ambient light or the perfect wattage setting is how we go about it. On the left, the brickwork texture, as you can see, is quite rugged, it's quite industrial, and then there's a whole strip of light with brighter wattage which is falling, and it is enhancing the texture. So again, we have to understand what sort of texture, what sort of materials are we using, and how does the light respond to it is how we get it perfect. Now, light highlighting colors. These are the interesting set of visuals where we are trying to understand that the colors, although they are very bright, they aren't looking too dull, or how we think about it, like how the dark colors gives us a perception, oh no, the room will look too dark and everything. But these are dark colors, but the light is responding to these colors in such an interesting manner that it works as an interesting and aesthetic design put together. On the right, there are very bright colors and bright set of colors, gray, blue, peach. All of these are put together with an interesting set of lights, and these are highlighting your colors, the bright colors put together. On your left, there is just monochromatic placement happening. All greens, dark tone of greens with your plants, with your table side, with your bedding. But again, an interesting set of lighting works well. It enhances. You can have like a table lamp by the side of it, and it works well. You can have the cove lighting, and it just, remember the layers of lighting, the warmth and the color temperature of lighting, and the interesting placement of it, and which elements you would want to highlight, what are the tasks that we are looking at, and you will get it perfect. Moving on to the highlighting forms. The light also highlight forms. Now imagine the picture on the left does not have a cove, but there are just cut out of circles. Would your attention go there? Would you be able to see it? The answer is no. That is because the cove lighting is highlighting the accent here. It is acting as an accent. It is giving a visual interest. Likewise, on the right, there are these elements, and that we have put these LED lamps inside it, and it is again highlighting with respect to the elements that is there, and it's working well like a 3D pattern and how it go about it. So light highlighting forms are also an interesting concept that we can use in our houses, and use as a decor pieces. Now, here I come towards the end of my presentation, and now I would like to invite call Grishma over to take it over.
Thanks, Dhwani, for it. So, just talking about the exclusive offer that we are running for this week. So, before that, I would just like to say freedom to design a home office that works perfectly for you. Yes, as you've guessed absolutely right from this screen, I would like to talk about our home office offer currently that we are running about. So I would just say that, currently we have developed a habit of checking our emails while either we are cooking dinner or doing breakfast or just before going to bed. As many, like all of 99% of us are working from home currently for which is almost like 4 months for now. Work life boundaries have actually blurred for all of us. Today, the hours are melt together because there is no natural divider to separate work as well as your personal time. We all feel it's the same. So working from home can feel a lot like that. There are plenty of people who prefer to blend their work and their personal life. So work and life are now perfectly balanced. Book Bonito's interior design service and get a personalized home office worth up to 1.75 lakhs for free. So this offer is only valid for 2 days. While we sponsor your workspace, you get our design experts guidance on ergonomics and also advice on choosing the right functional accessories for your home area. Whether you have a large room or not so large room, we believe you can have a designer space within your home. Let's make sure your work has its own workspace, and I will be displaying the offer on your right hand side. I hope you can see the offer. I'm publishing the offer for you. So going ahead from here, I would also like to inform that tomorrow we will be having a session on Ask the Experts where we have our panel Dimple Rungta and Masood Ali. So I hope you guys have registered. So tomorrow you can come back and ask to us about all your questions, like what is home interiors, what are designer homes, work from home solutions, designer wall finishes, whatever. Whatever questions you have, please place it right up to us over here. Yes. And going further, I would like to call back my host for the day, Dhwani. Could you be back? Let's take the
Sure,
questions from
Grishma.
the chat box. Yeah, Arjun says, Dhwani, that was an informative and inspiring. Made a note of several lighting ideas that would like
Thank you,
on my
Arjun.
own home.
Glad to help.
Thank you, Arjun. Thank you for attending. So, yes, going ahead, I would also like to inform that we were also live on YouTube. I would like to take certain questions from YouTube. Dhwani, I'll be reading a few questions. So, going, Sunil Neglur has asked, when do you use smart bulbs
So
and when do
Edison
you
lights
use
are
Edison
basically
lights?
those filament light that we have these sort of fancy filaments that we would want to display. So Edison light are basically your aesthetic for the accent lighting. I would rather say they do not really work well when if you're planning to have a task light or if you're planning to have ambient light. So it is always use it as an accent, have it placed in a lamp where you do not have a lampshade, and if you would want to have that exposed bulb feeling is where I would rather suggest you to go for those Edison lamps. Also, what was the other thing? Sorry, smart lamps. Smart lamps.
Smart bulbs. Smart bulbs. Sunil has asked, when do you use smart bulbs?
So smart bulbs nowadays are helping you to get that effective mood lighting with that simple fixture. So basically, you have to have a dimmer with it. So when you use those dimmers with the smart lamp, that lamp fixture can work as your ambient light and imitate the daylight during the day work. And over the nighttime, you can use the dimmer, bring it down to the 50%, and have the perfect mood lighting around it.
Perfect. So going ahead, I would like to ask you another question. Manjunath Patil has asked, is what voltage of light is directly related to temperature of a light, or do we get different voltages in different temperatures of light?
Yes. So wattage and temperature are not related. Temperature is basically the color of the light that we are looking at. Like I said, it is warm white, it is neutral white, and it is cool white. So these are the temperatures. Please do not confuse it with your wattage of the light. Wattage of the light is the strength of the light that we would want it at the space. For task work, we would need a brighter light. For the cozy setup, we would need like a lower wattage of light. Or like I said, in the cabinet light, the color temperature we would want a warm white, or maybe you can use a neutral white light also if you are looking at something to highlight it more. But the wattage of the cabinet light will be somewhere around 2 watt or 3 watt, because it is fixed in a very small space, and the fall that we would want would be something like that. However, with a warm light, if we are using in the bedroom, a 6 watt bulb would work very well. Warm white for the for the table lamp, for the pendant lamp, as an accent or as a task light. However, a 6 watt neutral white would also work well, and it will give you the whole setting of your working like a daylight, like I'm talking about. So the temperature and the wattage are two different things. Do not, it is not interrelated. You have to take care and understand the purpose and the feel that you're looking at, and then you have to decide about the wattage and the temperature.
Thanks, Dhwani, for that. Anupam is asking us, is my question wistful? Yes, Anupam, we are taking it. So just going down, Sujata has asked, how about light automation? How much automation and where should we do automation? I think it's quite a broad question to be as such because it has various varieties in it.
Yes. So, Sujata, home automation is the trending thing that we all are looking at. It is not only related to light. Home automation is where we have this home automation setup, and Bonita discovered it had an interaction last time about the home automation. Is where we do this setup through through Wi-Fi, and we put connect these lighting fixtures, maybe the fan, the lights, or the other things that we are looking at, the appliances put together, and that's how we go about it in the home automation. Now, where should we do it? It is again dependent on which area do you want it. You can either have it in the entire house, you can either have it in one space. Now, home automation is different from mood lighting. How the previous question was that how they would want to have mood lighting is where you can have the smart bulbs, add dimmers to it, which does not need home automation. The smart bulbs with dimmers can work well for your mood lighting setup. I hope that gives you an answer. Grishma, I cannot hear you. Sorry.
Sorry, I was in mute. Okay, Pushparaj is asking us, ma'am, is profile lights and strip lights, are they same?
Yes, profile lights and strip light are similar. So basically, profile lights is component of two things. One is strip light, and the other is profile, where we paste the strip light and have a cover so that the diffuser is done very neatly and very smoothly. The strip light are basically a strip light where you see this dotted light. It comes in a roll of it, and that's how we use it. So we do not use profile for cove lighting, because the distance from the ceiling to the cove light fall ceiling is enough, where we do not need a profile light. But if we are using these strip light under the cabinet, it is always suggested to have a profile with the strip light, so that the light diffusing is very even.
Okay. So taking Anupam's question, I'm sorry, Anupam, to make you wait. So the question is, I wanted to know about the floor lighters. Can these be put on the existing flooring with tiles, or it has to be done, some work done from on the floor for like false ceiling?
Yes, yes, Anupam. Unfortunately, it is not suggested, and we cannot do floor up lighters on the existing flooring. The ones that we do is for the outside, for the open courtyard, and it is called bollards. Bollards. So these are the typical bollards that we use it for the landscaping, which is fixed in the existing flooring. We cannot have that as a part of an interiors. So if you're planning to have these floor uplighters, it is always done at the recessed level. It needs the level of the floor uplighters, and the flooring has to be same. You have to have a cutout, fix the whole lighting, and then do it.
Okay. So I would like to take one more question from YouTube where they're asking us how to select number of lights needs for any room.
Sorry.
How to select the number of lights required for any room. I think
Right.
it's a very broad question, right? In general to be asked.
Yes, so it is basically the tip that you can look into here. You have to understand the whole space, the area of the space. What is the area, as in bedroom size, 10 by 10, 12 by 15 is that space. And again, you have to identify which space needs can be used with different sort of lighting. Maybe you would want a pendant lamp over the bedside, so you do not want a ceiling light over the when if you have having a pendant light. So these sort of lightings you will have to understand. Then the kind of wattage that requires, because there is a standard number for each bedroom, each spaces for those wattage, and this will you can have this help through a designer or through the vendor that you're buying it from.
Okay, going ahead, I have Soumya's question. If I put a fan with light instead of a pendant over dining table, what should be the brightness of the fan light?
So brightness of the fan light is basically because these are your fixtures. So these are your typical fixtures that are provided by the brand that we are looking at. So again, I would rather suggest it should have like a warm white or maybe a neutral white with the lower wattage, or a warm white with a higher wattage. So let's say it again depends over the dining area. How big is it? Is it a 4 by 4, as in a 4-seater, or a 6-seater, or is it an 8-seater? Depending on the space and the length of the dining, is how we can define the whole sort of lighting wattage around
Okay.
it.
To the next question, was asking us, is there any general guidance on how many lights should be placed depending on the size of the space?
Yes, so like I said, we have to understand the space and how do we break it into elements, like where we are using the hanging lamp, are we using a table side lamp, how do we go about it, is there a false ceiling or anything. So there is a number, but it is individual for each spaces and different sizes of the room. So there is a calculator available online. You can go to the Omni calculator. There is this website where you can enter your area of the bedroom sizes, and it will give you a calculation for the lighting that is required. It also helps you if you're picking a LED light, what number of light and what wattage of light can you pick, and it can also help you if you're looking for a halogen bulb and how do we go about it. Krishma, you are on mute again.
Thank you for the informative answer. That was quite informative for them. I hope they've taken down about the website and everything. So I have one more question. Raghuvendra was asking, can you suggest ideas for garden lighting?
Right. So garden lighting is again how we go about it. If I have to say, like, there is a balcony lights, or if there is a, let's say it's a villa garden where there is a decent space. So for the pathways, you can have the bollards, which again, like you had seen the floor uplighters, you can either have floor uplighters, which is recessed on your floor. You can have those type of bollards. Basically, those are jutting out 2 feet lamps, defining your pathways. You can use the light, the lights in the corner of your section where you would want to highlight that flora or the fauna, the kind of fauna that you're using at. Maybe you can have have a very nice patch of rose garden around it and have like lighting there. So again, these kind of lighting, these landscape lighting work around which bit of area are you accentuating, how you would want it. Do you want to define a path? Do you want to have it around the whole space of your kitchen garden sort of thing? If you want to accentuate some sort of shrub, some sort of patch of flora that you're looking at, it all works around it.
Okay. So we have one more question. This is a question from Rama, who's asking us, is there any way to calculate how many watts are needed to light up a room, maybe per square feet? Is there a way to calculate it?
Per square feet is basically, again, like I said, it defines how the interaction of the light is happening and everything. So with that website, or with the discussion with the vendor or your designer, you can just have a fair understanding and how we go about it.
Okay. So going ahead, I'll take some more questions down. I would like to read. Okay, Naveen has something to say. I should say that this is one of the best webinar from Bonito I have attended so far. Thank you, Naveen. Thank you for being
Thank you,
here.
Navi.
Yeah. So taking a few more questions. Okay. Vinod has been asking, kindly make a presentation how to calculate light for any space in your upcoming webinar. Sure, Vinod, we will
Surely.
take note of it.
Thank you for your
We will
feedback.
come up we will come up with that webinar. So we have Amrita Sen who's asked, if in a rectangular dining come drawing room, if you were setting to put up a chandelier above the dining table, how to adjust the fan over there? Okay, this is a normal general question which all of us would have.
Yes. So basically, if you have a like a linear setup, like a rectangular setup between your dining and in your living area, the fan, it is always suggested to have some sort of hanging lamps, maybe a bar hanging, or maybe a chandelier drop over your dining area. So always place the chandelier or the hanging lamp in such a manner that it comes in the center between the two lamps. Now, in between the two fans. Now, I understand that there are not enough ceiling points to accommodate the two fans around the dining area. So always have it on one side, either side of the lamp, wherever there is a seating coming. Let's say that there are two lamps. Now there is a kitchen here, and then there is, sorry, dining here, and you're living here. So there is a decent space around your sitting stretch, along the whole sitting stretch, and you can have a lamp, a fan in the center, and then it works around well.
Okay. So, taking questions down, Vinod has been asking what are IP ratings. Not really sure he's referring to which question, but I'm not really sure.
I'm not really sure.
Okay. Uh, Vinod has asked one more question, asking how to judge a space, whether it needs a layer of lightings.
How to judge a space? Okay, all right. So let's say you have a bedroom. So what are the layers that we are looking at? You have a task lighting that we are looking at. Maybe either at the bedside, you would need your table lamps, which is your task lighting. That is the second layer. The first layer is obviously your ambient light, your ceiling light. You can achieve it through your recessed light. If you have a false ceiling, you can achieve through your surface mounted light. If you do not have a false ceiling, if you want that industrial look or a very smart look where you do not want to have those either of the lights, you can use the track lights running across the length of your bedroom and have your first layer of light is your ambient light. The second layer of lighting is your task lighting, where you are defining the task working space. If you have a work desk, you have a table lamp by that side, and your bedside table. Like I said, it is always best to have bedside table lamps around each side of bed. And then the third layer is your accent light. Let's say you have a TV panel in your bedroom. Maybe you would want to accentuate it with a cove light behind it, backlit panel, have an element of drama while you're watching a Netflix. You do not want any sort of light, but a cove light falling behind your back panel, creating that perfect mood of movie watching. Likewise, you can have the third layer through accent lighting behind your bed back panel, because usually for designers, for us, we create the bed back wall as an accent wall, and we sort of always create an element of drama through either the lightings to the wall panels, wallpapers, and everything. So you can have these three set of layers of lighting in your bedroom by identifying how you would want to go about it and put those, use those lighting use for.
Thank you, Dhwani, for the contents, knowledge of information in one nutshell what you've given you to his question. I hope, Vinod, we are very clear with your question. We have answered it. Okay,
Yes.
going down, taking few more questions. Kanchana has asked, can you mix warm and neutral stay in one room?
Sorry.
Kanchana has asked, can you mix warm and neutral in one room? Warm light and the neutral
Yes,
light in
yes,
one room.
absolutely. So, Kanchana, if you're working, let's again talk about the bedroom, because you can have neutral set of light, neutral lights as your ambient light, where you would want to sit and work during your entire day. The warmth that you can add is through your table lamps, through your cove lighting, or through your again and the false ceiling, have the strip lighting under the furniture. Let's say there is a study desk, it's a study ledge, it's a simple ledge, you have a strip light profile under it to give the element of drama which is falling under your study table. Then there are your bedside table lamps or your hanging lamps, which is again in warm white. Then you have spotlight somewhere, like say over a study table there is a cabinet, and you are having those spotlights with those warm light and soft drop that is there. So you can add element of warmth with your neutral white, with different sort of settings and the light fixtures that you're using in different spaces.
Yeah, before I would like to take your question, I would like to inform all of you that today is Sunny's birthday and I would like all of you all to wish her a very happy birthday too.
Thank you, Grishma. Thank you so much.
I would like to take a few more questions going down. Just scrolling down on my fact sheet. We have a question from YouTube where we have Akshay asking us if cool lighting is not aesthetically pleasing, then can it be used in industrial area? What about typical apartments?
Right, exactly. Cool lighting is not aesthetically pleasing for the residences. So it is used in the industrial area where there is heavy duty of working happening and where there needs some sort of like high alertness is required is where we use this sort of industry cool lighting in the industrial area. For the apartments, it is always best to use neutral white. The key word for your lights is neutral white and warm white. Always use these two colors. It's the best for your day working. Your neutral white light is sufficient for your mood setting. Your warm white light is perfect. You put it together, you have the perfect ambience in the entire apartment with your bedroom, with your living room. And neutral white light is very important for your kitchen. While in the bathroom, if there are dark tiles, you can have a nice neutral white vanity light over your mirror and have some sort of, if you are adding some sort of aesthetical pleasing drama, maybe you can have this Edison lamp displayed over your vanity area, and it gives the perfect setting with neutral and warm white for any area.
I hope we are very clear with the answer, Akshaya. So hopefully we have answered your question rightly. And yeah, taking last few questions over here, I would like to take is okay. Sheila is asking us how many spotlights look good for breakfast table for two. Mention some trendy designs.
So spotlight for breakfast table of two. Breakfast table. So basically a breakfast counter that you're looking at. Spotlight is not suggested. I understand you might be talking about the hanging lamp or the downlighters, the false ceiling lights that we are looking at. Spotlights are basically the small lights that are used to highlight or to accent some sort of artwork, some sort of display. So spotlight is not suggested for your kitchen breakfast counter. For your kitchen breakfast counter, we would want some sort of task light, which can be in form of pendant lamps, which can be in form of chandeliers. So if you're looking for that sort of setup, a cluster, a set of two hanging lamps, the sleek ones will look very nice. A cluster, it is always suggested to have a cluster of it. If you're looking for one lamp, maybe you have like a long bar sort of thing that is running around and have a decent lighting for your thing. And but a cluster of single hanging lamps would look great. You can have two, you can have put two together at different height, and it works well.
Thank you, Dhwani, for that. Thank you for your supportive answers. And we have Arjun who is asking us these days, black light is used to provide accent lighting to specific areas, spaces, or to highlight conversation pieces in the house. Do you see that as a part of interior design recommendation?
I'm not sure black light.
Yeah, because even I have not heard of black light, it's something new. Okay. We have Haridas who's asking us which is the best light appearance for dining. Nice question, like which all of us would like to know.
Which is the best slide? Shall I go back to the slide and show it?
No, I think you can just talk about it over here.
Okay. Okay. So the thing is that where there is a cluster of hanging lamps or a big chandelier is running across your dining table is where that is the best light for your dining area, because it works well. The whole idea is that with one piece of fixture, we are achieving the task light and we are achieving the perfect mood lighting that we are looking at. So in order to have like nice task lighting or the working setting around the dining area, always use a strategically placed, centrally placed hanging lamp. It can be in form of simple bar chandelier. It can be some form of in single hanging lamp put together in a set of three or set of two, however the bigger table is, and it works well. So that is the best light, the one that I've shown you in the beginning, where all of these there is a nice aesthetical pleasing chandelier. And if you have another cabinet like crockery cabinet with wall cabinets, maybe you can have the spotlights and it works well.
I think we have taken most of the questions for the day today, and I would like to get to a closure for today. Thank you all for attending the session, and thank you, Gwani, for sharing your abundance of knowledge and lights. It was just
Thank you.
profound and
Thank you
wonderful.
all.
I hope everybody enjoyed the session too. If you have any of your questions still up, you could write down on the chat box, and we will be available over here for the next 5 minutes. So we will be responding to it. So thank you very much. Before I sign off, I would like to remind you guys once more, tomorrow we have a panel discussion session where we have Mr. Masood Ali and Dimple right here tomorrow at 4 p.m. I hope you all have registered for tomorrow's session. And yes, Dhwani, wishing you once more a very, very happy birthday on your day today. And it's special because it's Independence Day too. So
Thank
thank you,
you.
Dhwani. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for being here with us. And I hope you loved this session.
Thank
Hopefully,
you all.
yeah, I see all of you all tomorrow back again at Ask the Expert session too. So thank you. Thank you
Thank you
once
all.
again.
Thank you. Have a nice day all. Bye.
Introducing the Bonito process, the 7 stages it takes to make your dream home come true. Here's how it usually goes. It starts with us getting to know each other. Then we jump into the design phase, followed by production, execution, handover, and of course, the Bonito promise. Let's begin with the first stage, saying hello to Bonito. This is where you'll meet with a relationship manager, finalize Bonito as your design expert, and sign an initial agreement with a 25,000 payment. Then we get to work. Our CRM team introduces you to your design expert through a virtual meeting where we try to better understand you and your family's lifestyle, habits, likes and dislikes, as well as aesthetic and functional requirements. Once a detailed brief and project schematics are outlined, your design expert will share timelines with you. Now comes the all-important design stage, which takes about 30 days to complete and is divided into 5 phases. By day 12, your design expert will discuss their recommendations, created under the guidance of design mentors and managers. With your approvals on the final designs, we will move on the second payment milestone of 15%. We will then begin virtual selection of materials, laminates, wallpapers, etc. and finalize 3D renders of your future home. At this stage comes your third payment cycle of 45%. Post-lockdown, our design team will visit your site for measurements and ensure that every available millimeter is accounted for. This is where art meets science, where we create detailed 2D drawings to help you visualize the space. Enter the production phase, which also takes about 30 days to complete. Our experts start procuring materials and begin work at the factory. Our vendors are given the complete requirements for the necessary goods. With construction, shopping and site installation preparations happening simultaneously, the designs you fell in love with are now sent to be produced, manufactured and materialized. Before the final execution, the remaining 40% payment will be initiated. Now's the time for you to witness exactly what we do. This is the execution phase, which takes another 30 days. During this stage, all products are dispatched from the factory and vendors and are sent to your home. Once installations and furnishings are completed, the quality process begins. You then sign a final handover checklist with us, complete with a formal ceremony that marks the beginning of your new journey in a designer home. Finally, with the Bonito promise of maintenance services and long-term support, we become partners for life.